How to use CWP to Song. Hey everybody, John here. At the end of my last video about transferring your files from Cakewalk over to Studio One, I mentioned the fact that there was an app that you could use to do this. So this video is what will show you how to make this app work. So first we're going to need the file and just type in AZSlow, and that's AZSlow.com, and it's here in the download folder, but I'll just show you there is another folder down here that contains some instructions, but we just need to go to downloads, other files, and here it is here. Click on that, and now you see that will download the file to your download folder. What I've done is created a folder for it on my data drive, and here's the download folder, and here's where you'll find it is in this Windows 32 folder. The other one is for Linux. So a big thanks goes to Mr. Outrageous Production. He is now found on the Studio One forums where I asked this question. So he gave me some very clear instructions on two ways that I could do this. One of them is using a batch file, and then the second is the one that I will demonstrate today using the command prompt. So I recommend that you also read this closely here about how to do a batch file. I'm going to give it a go a little later on, but I wanted to get this video out first. Open the command prompt. First, go to where you have stored the CWP to Song extension file. Now right-click on it and choose Copy as a Path. Now in the command prompt, right-click next to the field here where your username is. You should now see the full pathway to the CWP to Song. Now go to the folder where your CWP file is stored and repeat this procedure and choose the actual CWP file. And then right-click and use the copy pathway. I kind of found it best to rename the project folder as well as the song name without any spaces or weird characters. This way I avoided having to add the quotation marks that are required to indicate those items. It doesn't seem to mind spaces or weird characters in the main pathway. So speaking of those quotation marks, first you're going to need to remove them. Start with the one at the beginning here. You use the arrow keys to navigate. Then in the middle there will be two more quotation marks. Delete them, but then add a space using the space bar. Now you can delete the one here at the end. And what you do now is it should be ready to go, so just hit enter. You should see that the program has run. Now what it'll do is it'll give you a list and it'll tell you what didn't work. So what I do is I take a screenshot of this valuable information. We're going to need this in a short while here. If it didn't work, then double check your command line and compare it to mine. It'll be just something very small that you missed. Now go back to your Cakewalk project folder, and in there you're going to find a Studio One project file. This file should open in Studio One. You might have to do a little bit of tweaking, like replacing missing plugins or instruments. That screenshot you took might come in handy for this, as well as Studio One might have shown you a list of missing plugins when it was booting up. When you save the project for the first time, you might get this warning that the project was created using an older version of Studio One, so just say yes. Okay, now I hope this will be a huge time saver for you as you transition from Cakewalk to Studio One. Or maybe Reaper. The story behind this is that AZSlow 3, or Alexi is his real name, switched to Reaper. So that's why he originally wrote this script. If you're a Reaper user, then you're covered too. But then the other credit goes to longtime denizen of the Cakewalk coffee house, Bapu. He was the one who asked AZSlow if he would do a version for Studio One users. So now you've got no excuse not to switch to either Reaper or Studio One. Life just gets better when you do. Okay, folks, thanks for watching.